Hey folks, welcome back to Good Germs Off-Road Adventures and welcome to Johnson Valley OHV area. We've been out here this weekend doing some riding and filming. It's time for the one-year review of our 2022 Polaris Sportsman 570s. So you know, we've had these new quads, ATVs, four-wheelers, whatever you call them. We've had these quads now for right at about a year, so we figured it's about time we go ahead and do the review, a one-year review. What's been going on with them? We'll just get right into it. It's all right, guys. Just ride right through our camp. Okay. You see, and that's why we don't exactly come out to Johnson Valley too much. It usually gets pretty busy out here, and some people just have no problems riding right through your camp. Looking over the machines, first thing you're going to notice, we managed to find some mud out here. You know, last weekend we had the Tropical Storm Hillary roll through, and we decided to shoot on over to Soggy Dry Lake. Well, it's no longer, this weekend it's just Soggy Lake. It's not even dry, it's pretty full. But you can see we actually found some water and some mud, so maybe we can finally answer the question of, did we suck up anything into the tubes here? And I can report, we did not. And by tubes, I just used the lazy word for clutch vent. But yeah, I looked inside. As a matter of fact, we can probably scoot around and you can look inside. You can see here, it actually looks pretty clean because it was doing its job of exhausting air instead of sucking in the air. And didn't notice on either one of the machines here any issues with the clutch getting wet. Now, we're not out mudding where we're in water, you know, up past the top of the tires, of course, but you know, we were splashing around pretty good and we didn't notice any issues with the clutch getting wet or slipping or anything. You know, the biggest thing you notice with these machines over the older ones is just the ride. They are comfortable. You know, you can hit all the bumps and the rocks and they just kind of soak it up. They're plush and firm, you know, if there is such a thing of being plush and firm at the same time, but they are. You know, you can hit some ruts and some rocks and sometimes you don't even feel it and other times you do, but it doesn't affect you. So one of the improvements we made to this Sportsman, I guess it's not an improvement, but an adjustment I made to this Sportsman, this is the trail, is I went ahead and adjusted the springs one notch more stiff. I found the front end of this trail was a bit, honestly, too plush. So over some really big bumps, it would tend to bottom out. After doing that, just that one notch, it made a huge difference. It hits the bigger bumps, soaks them up. It's a lot more controllable. And I do tend to carry a little bit more weight than we do on the other quad. So in the rear it was helpful as well. You know, I've got the box full of, at this point, camera, tripods, equipment. I've got the water pack back there, so it just made sense to go ahead and bump that up a notch. And it actually made a huge difference in the way that this trail edition of the 570 handles. Big difference. The power steering is really nice on these machines. I think I watched a video somewhere, read that Polaris has refined the power steering system, and look, I can tell you the power steering is awesome. We have the two machines set at different levels. Darth, the black one here behind me, we have set on I think the medium setting, and then Dusty, the gray one, we've got set on the high setting, and there is a big noticeable difference, but at speed you still feel like you have full control, and at low speed it's just much easier to ride. You know, we put these headlight pod bags on, and I was never too sure how they were going to work out. They're okay. I like how easy it is to get to them. They're right on top of the headlight there, but I'm not a big fan of how they attach with the Velcro. and it's the plastic Velcro, not the fabric Velcro. If you don't get them, smashed down just right when you go to unzip it or zip it, sometimes you end up pulling it right off the top of the headlight. And obviously, if you're going to trailer it on an open trailer, you need to take them off. You don't want to lose these going down the freeway. But they've been okay. I'm going to look for some other type of storage, like maybe some fender bags that won't give me anxiety over tearing up the paint that is on the machines. So I know it's only been about a year, and I know that people have experienced problems, recalls, things like that. We've had no problems. Neither one of these machines has put a foot wrong. They have been, I don't know, what's the word? Reliable. There's another toy hauler going down the road. I didn't think anybody else was out here this weekend. Anyway, they've been reliable and not had any issues. I did mention that we had a recall, and from what I understand, if you have a Polaris, you're going to have a recall. But fortunately, it was just something really minor. It was just the wire that goes from the stator to the battery. They just needed to put some sheathing on it because it comes kind of close to the brake line. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So just in here, I'm kind of pointing at the wire here. That's the wire that they had to put that protective sheathing, wrapping. They put some protection on it because it comes somewhat close to the brake lines, a little farther up. And there was the threat of fire. I don't know if I've read that any of them have actually burned down for this, but they went ahead and did that. It was quick and easy. I think I was at the dealer for, I don't know, an hour, and they did both of the machines while I waited. As with most quads, the stock headlights you get, they're pretty nice, but they just don't really cut it if you want to do some really good night riding. But the Road Shock LEDs from the Harbor Freight, they've been working out real nice, and they are super bright. Perfect for an ATV. So we've got about 35 hours on the machines right now. We did do the service at the 25-hour mark, actually probably just a tad over. That video, I can link that down in the description, the place where the words are under the video. It went okay. It was mostly easy. I think I made it more difficult than it needed to be, but that's okay. Oh, shoot. Like I said, we got about 35 hours on them now, and roughly about 500 miles. I think mine's at 505. The other one's a little less because I did take mine out by myself. But yeah, about 500 miles, and everything's just been going well. The tires they come with, they're really nice. The Duro Power Grip, is that what they're called? Duro, yes, Power Grip. They work out really well. They hook up nice. They soak up the bumps. I don't know what else to say about them. They're good tires. Suspension, the Trail has the independent front suspension with the dual arched A-arms. And then the Premium, has the strut style front suspension, which you see going, way back to when Polaris first started making quads. Of course, it's been refined over the last several decades, and the newest version is pretty good. There is a difference in the way that they ride and handle. The Premium, the front end feels a little bit more stiff and a little bit more sporty. It does soak up the large bumps very well. It doesn't seem to have a ton of rebound that makes it bounce back up, which is good. That's something that the older designs, it's a problem that they suffer from. Yeah. But yeah, it handles quite well, and when you go into a sharp turn, it doesn't really dive. It stays planted quite nicely. The Trail, with the double A-arm suspension in the front, is quite a bit different. It actually is a much more plush feel in the front end. I actually adjusted the shocks, the spring preload up a notch, just to get a little bit more ride height and just a little bit more stiffness. But yeah, it's actually a more plush feeling. You feel a lot less of the bumps, but it is quicker to bottom out, and in cornering, it does tend to, kind of lunge into a corner. It'll kind of dive, and it's just a difference in the machine you have to get used to. But it is better since I dialed those up a little bit when we were out at the soggy, dry, not dry lake bed. In the drier parts, I did notice the front end biting and it diving pretty good. But again, it's just a different handling characteristic, and you just get used to your machine and you try to get the best out of it. You know, the brakes, they feel like typical Polaris brakes. They work quite well. The engine braking system that's on the transmission, I know it's pretty much just a simple one-way bearing in there, but it's another one of those things where I understand Polaris has refined over the years, and I can say it's really smooth. It's not overly aggressive. It's predictable, and I also find because of that, if you're on a trail and need to slow down a little bit, I don't find that we're hitting the brakes so much. We're just kind of letting the transmission do it for us. The four-wheel drive system, I mean, it's Polaris. I think, my opinion, personally, that it is probably the best four-wheel drive system for a quad on the market. You don't have to deal with, did you put it in the four-wheel drive mode that locks the differential or doesn't lock the front differential? You just put it in all-wheel drive. It applies four-wheel drive when it needs it, and it just works super well. It's super smooth. It's not grabby or bitey, and with the power steering, you're not even fighting the handlebars. When you put them in four-wheel drive low, you know, they pretty much go up and over anything. And I'll be honest, it kind of feels like you're cheating a little bit because it makes it really easy. You know, it used to be a fight on the older quads, you know, the 500 and even on Ruby Sue a bit. You know, it used to be a fight getting over some rocks and doing some rock crawling and things like that. With these, look, there's no fight. They just make it easy. There's a boulder, I'm going to straddle it, and I'm going to hit it, and I'm going to move it. Apparently I'm going to get stuck on this boulder. Yeah, get around me and then go to the right. Well, some bitch. The question is, can I back up any? Yeah, maybe. I just don't want to fall off anything. Now, can I hit it and go forward? Nope. Is there a drop off behind me that I can't see? Shit. Not a big drop off, but how do I always get stuck on a rock? Well, because I didn't want to go the way you went. And yeah, it was better, obviously. I don't know where the rock is. Nope, it's right there. Damn, that's a big rock. I thought it's bigger than I thought it would be. Oh God! Okay, got it. Well, only a piece of it was sticking out, and I think when I hit it, it turned, and it just lifted the quad up. Oh, there we go. So, you can get these stuck. Like I said, it kind of feels like you're cheating a little bit, but it does make it a little bit more enjoyable. You can do more of it without getting worn out. And you know, these machines have the active descent control mode that you operate where the four-wheel drive switch is, and that is aggressive. It will pretty much stop you if you let it coming down almost any hill. You let your thumb off the throttle there, and it will pretty much stop it unless it's a super, super steep hill. So it's a little bit of a strange feeling, you know, coming down a hill, and instead of, you know, managing your speed with the brakes, you're managing your speed with the throttle coming downhill. And that's something to get used to. But again, A little bit kind of feels like you're cheating because the quad's really doing 90% of the work for you and making you look good. And but again, you know, it means you can just do it all day, do it a lot longer, and again, you're not going to get worn out from riding in tough terrain all day. Well, I think that's going to do it. You know, I don't really know what else to say. These machines have been awesome. We definitely are happy we made the investment and picked up these new machines last year. If there's anything I missed, any questions that you want to ask, go ahead and put them down in, you know, in the bottom where you can type words, and I'll read them and type some words back to you. And also, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and give us the wow. Excuse me, I'm going to refresh myself on the English language again. Okay. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and give us the subscribe, like, comment, share. All of that really helps, and I appreciate all the support we've gotten so far. In the meantime, ride safe. We'll see you later.